Next category and next section, in fact, our first panel discussion is on mobile marketing. Now, browsing experiences on mobiles is the new currency, definitely, for brand love, and Emmanuel alluded to it a little bit there. And people are 100 times more impatient, though, online than they are in the physical reality. Now, keeping this in mind, and our next panel discussion will cover that and much more, please welcome to the stage Docrat, the Head of Information Technology at Aster Retail, Darine Sabbagh, MD of Golden Scent, back onto the stage from yesterday, Amir Khan, Abdul Vahid, the Head of eCommerce at Life Pharmacy, and Sudhir Syal, the founder and CEO of Startify. And Navin Joshua, the founder of GreenHonchos, will be your moderator for the session. And just also, as the guys join us on stage, don't forget to visit the SafeX Pay stand just outside, and you'll get a little bit more of an in-view of the metaverse and the immersive experience that it offers. They have the VR headsets, and you can actually enjoy that world. But guys, the panel and the fabulous photos that they represent, I'll leave it to you guys. And ladies and gentlemen, your panel.
Hi, a very good morning. Day 2 start. Hopefully everyone's had a good night's rest. I'm Navin Joshua once again, and I hope I speak the least here, and I have all of you distinguished eminent panelists to take us through. We've got an interesting topic. It's more based on the mobile user experience. You know, we all know that the most sought after real estate is actually the customer's smartphones and the viewport they have on that in terms of being able to engage with businesses, with brands, for businesses, for purchases, for experiences. So our topic is more on that side. I think we've got a very diverse panel from different walks of either fashion, lifestyle, even healthcare. In fact, Sudhir also has consulting experience from the past, has mobile UX experiences with businesses. So we'll be happy to share their thoughts forward on this here. I'll just jump quickly since we can actually serialize it. The first question that I had for you was, what key elements in the business do you think that in your line of business are you focusing on from customers to be able to navigate through the experience online? And I assume online is a small portion of purchasing, but at least from an immersive experience perspective, I'm sure a lot of customers are accessing information on mobiles, and therefore user experience plays a big role.
Yeah, thanks, Navin. And I think user experience does play a big role. And I think what we're looking at with Aster as a larger entity with ourselves and Medcare is the entire user experience piece. But how we're looking at it is both from the mobile app perspective, where we're saying, let's give the user the best experience, let's give the user the easiest experience, but also giving them the widest range of services. It's no longer enough these days to just offer one service, right? You've got to really build in to the entire range of services that are available. So if you take most people's mobile phones, you guys have got Talabats and InstaShops and Now-Nows because it has that full range of services. Now, what we're trying to do with Aster is saying, let's just not have the online pharmacy. Let's also bring in all the other service elements to that customer experience. Let's bring in our loyalty. Let's bring in our clinics bookings. Let's bring in our teleconsultation, our lab reports, our home healthcare services. And I think when you do that, you're really building that customer experience and really making the customer feel like they want to have your mobile application. They're able to do everything and transact everything within a single business application rather than having those multiple applications on their phone. And I think ultimately by doing that, you then really build that loyalty of the customer. And you give them a reason to want to go back to you just because it's easier for them, it's simpler for them, and they have everything at their fingertips.
Very interesting insights there, because you brought about products versus services to envelope the customer and have more time and engagement with the brand. Darine, we were quickly speaking about, in this geography, probably anywhere between 3 to 20% of businesses are actually having their purchasing pattern and probably change by category as well. But would request your thoughts on the same in terms of from where you're looking at it from a lifestyle product category standpoint, what specifically do you believe consumers are looking for, and how are you trying to, bridge that gap?
So we're an online pure player. Online is our
Okay.
only
Digital first and
yes,
yeah.
our only retail space, and that's why working in this space for the last 9 years, we've gone through a lot of optimizations on our app. What we design for now is speed, like how not to overload our app or mobile site with too many features, making sure that every second counts and we don't distract the customer from the checkout process.
Nice.
So the most valuable pages for us are obviously the home page, the product page, and the checkout page.
Got it.
And we put a lot of focus calculating down to the microsecond, like, is this approach better to offer, let's say, the promo code field? Is this approach better to offer the upsell? Should we offer the upsell altogether, or does it reduce the conversion rate?
Sure.
There's a lot of thought that goes into designing digital store spaces that maybe like traditional retailers don't go into. But what is wonderful is also we have so much data to run experiments and figure out what really works. And it's not always what you logically believe would work. Like there's a lot of nice surprises that you come across.
When you look at data, I think. So yeah, you bring another concept of minimalist from a UX perspective. Sometimes being a driver for maximizing the ease of the checkout process. And in the funnel, you talk about add to cart and cart to checkout. I think many a times when we overcomplicate that journey by just throwing more and more information, it actually confuses the customer a lot more, because we really don't exactly know who the customer is. So the more simple we make that UX, I think it begins to have a higher impact. I think that's what you're talking about.
Exactly, and many times we've had to strip down things and
Yeah.
say, let's start from scratch. Let's remove all the bells and whistles. We go down to the most basics and we start building it again. And it's about this iterative process in UX that really helps you grow and gain conversion rate, sales, and so on.
Sure. Sudhir, my friend, so I think with all your experience in this geography, where any of us come from India, we are told, meet Sudhir, he's the go-to guy for understanding this market. With your experiences with mass consumer aggregators like Book My Show, and then with Lenskart and what you've done in the last couple of years, if you could throw some light from what consumers want from a experience UX handheld perspective.
Sure. I'll just draw upon this whole minimalist concept, and I'll talk about two examples where it's so important to drill down the journey and also realize, hey, which parts is the mobile friendly with, and which parts do you actually take out of mobile and not use tech. So I'll give you a couple of examples from Lenskart and Book My Show, right? And Lenskart, this whole 3D try-on piece was a game changer for the company, where you try out your virtually you try out your glasses, and we saw the conversion rate was extremely high on 3D try-on at Lenskart. What we immediately did was then replicate that experience onto the stores.
Sure.
And when we did that at the stores, we found that the conversion was higher at the stores as well. So it's sometimes learning from mobile and taking it into the retail territory instead of the other way around, right?
Sure.
So that's one interesting example. And then a lot of the top-down marketing now globally for Lenskart has been via 3D try-on as the first port of call, because it's fun, it's exciting, it's playful. Also, you take that onto a Snapchat or like a Insta like social platform.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things you can do. So that's one part. I'll park that. Similarly in the Lenskart journey, the opposite story. One part of while buying spectacles is putting in your glasses and your power. And if you're wearing bifocals, for instance, it's extremely complicated in the power you need to put in. Sometimes you need to put in a prescription. In markets like Singapore, it needs to be vetted by a doctor. All sorts of complications, right?
Sure.
And what Lenskart found through its journey was that just putting a button there saying, hey, we'll get these details from you on a call, was actually the far better thing to do, right? Because that increased conversion, saying, thank God I don't have to give you all this.
Someone will reach me.
Someone will call me or get it on WhatsApp. And actually, the mobile doesn't help there, right?
Sure.
And I think it's about understanding where in the consumer journey, and tech plays a role and tech doesn't play a role. I think Book My Show, really one game changer for Book My Show in his journey was, this whole mapping the seats in the cinema and being able to choose the booking, choose the seat, they're telling you how much space is in the aisle, and then enabling you to order food while you're inside the cinema as well, right?
Got it.
But a lot of these tweaks and innovations by understanding the consumer's perspective, speaking to a lot of consumers, helps, and the mobile flow helps. But by the same coin, there's a lot of, often we are all guilty of overtaking things. And frankly, the consumer doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about the tech you have, so what, right? He cares about his life.
Sure.
And I think figuring out where in the journey tech can play a role and tech can't play a role is very important.
No, great points. I think both the examples, whether it were Book My Show or Lenskart, were where you could get involvement from an immersive experience perspective from the consumer, but then where's the point of diminishing returns?
Exactly.
Don't take it too far,
Exactly.
just because you can.
Yeah. Sometimes startups which are well funded are sitting on so much engineering talent that it's a
Functionality.
Yeah, it's not really a problem looking for a solution, but a solution looking for a problem sometimes. And sometimes you don't need that tech. Right?
Sure. Very interesting. So Amir, last but not the least, your thoughts on the same. We'd like to have everyone in on the first one at least.
So if you ask me in perspective of online shopping and user experience, the three major factors is the functionality of the product. The product can be your website or an application. So how you take your users through the purchase journey. Then the second point is the design, how you create designs, how you create elements which can connect a consumer to the theme or their requirements. And third one is the content which you create on the application. The content basically connects the consumer's problems to the solutions or to our products. So the way you design it, it can improve the user experience in terms of all the aspects. Let's say a bad user experience can be you're asking a user to fill a very long form at the time of login, or before checkout. Your address selection can be a factor. Entering your address can be simple and it has to be easy. So that creates a user experience.
Sure.
Easy payment, one-step checkout process, easy login process. And by creating the process is easier, it creates a great user experience. And when you give a great user experience, people stay longer in your application or website. So when people stay longer, they always browse for more products, and it always increases your conversion rate.
Sure.
You can always upsell your products. So let's say if, in terms of life pharmacy, taking an example, a customer is coming to buy a Panadol. So we wanted to keep them for longer time. We just don't want to come to search for Panadol, buy it and go. No, we have to give experiences for them to browse for the products and what they're actually looking for, and so that they'll feel a more time spending with the app, and it really increases your conversion rate, and you can retain your customers.
Sure. So yeah, what I'm hearing, especially from both you gentlemen, is products and then engaging more with services around it and spending more time is what makes the customer more sticky from a loyalty, repeat perspective. And what I hear from pure play, product purchases, conversions, it's always, it may not be the best to have them. You're always thinking probably in a Book My Show or even here that how soon can someone check out and reach his purchase journey to the end, rather than, have a lot of distractions. I think that, is what I'm also hearing, because it's different products and different journeys, and therefore different customer engagement types. So Adam, I'll just come back to you. I think, especially since, there is a hybrid engagement with the consumer, a lot of touch points in healthcare are offline as well, or even reach-ins versus the phone as a separate medium, or a walk-in. The buzzword of Omnichannel must have always come up. So how are you seeing the consumer experience between, the unification of it, or is it very diverse of what experience that same consumer gets on the mobile, through the web, versus the offline? Is it a seamless transition Where are the cutoff points? And do consumers actually expect a unified experience?
No, I think, thanks for the question, Navin. And I think customers nowadays expect that unified experience. They expect the same level of service when they come into a store versus the same level of experience when they transact online. And what we're trying to do is we're obviously very slightly different because it's healthcare, but what we're trying to do is educate the customers in store. So when a customer comes into us, generally they're coming into us with a problem. Generally they're coming into us after a doctor's visit, after a consultation, and for a very specific requirement. And what we try and do is we try and then educate them on not just their illness, but their journey into wellness and how to keep themselves going from a wellness perspective. That becomes very difficult to translate on a mobile app. Giving that feedback, that information is quite difficult to do on a mobile app. So we focus that offline, right? And we focus on giving them that information, that service, that level of information offline. But then when we do give them that information and when they're empowered with what is their wellness journey, what products they need, what services they need, that's when we divert them to online. And for their repeat prescriptions, their repeat consultations. So we offer a teleconsultation service for repeat prescriptions. So when you're going back to the doctor for your refill, you don't have to come all the way into the clinic. You can have that teleconsultation with the doctor. When you know what products you want to purchase, your vitamin C's, your multivitamins, and all that range of services, we can direct them to online. And then by doing this, what we've made sure we've done is keep that common loyalty program. So we have a loyalty program called Secure, which transacts offline as well as online. So whatever you've done offline and whatever you've done online, your points accumulate, and then you can spend them either in the online space or in the offline space. And that's led us to sort of complete the entire user journey end to end.
Very interesting. Yeah. I'll just flip the question a bit from a digital first and a digital piece only where there's no offline. I think the consumer is still transacting or accessing social channels, live commerce, video commerce, apart from the website, and probably may also be wanting to proceed with their point of sale online itself, not necessarily on the website only. Have you seen that? Because for me, that would also be something that purely digital or online businesses are looking at, as the medium still remains online, but the points of sale could be others, including social and video and live commerce.
Looking into the future, what we believe would be a game changer for us if people could actually buy wherever they are. So you search on Instagram, you found the product, you can buy it, you can check out in seconds. I think we are stuck in this mentality that we need to drive traffic somewhere.
Right.
And the platform still didn't evolve to, say, for something that we call anywhere commerce, because we put a lot of effort in our social channels, we put a lot of effort working with influencers to educate around the product, but we still have like this missing gap of sending the customer to the web page or to the app store to download the app. And there's where you lose a lot of your traffic, right?
Sure.
So this concept of anywhere commerce, I see it happening in the future where you can buy a product on TikTok, on Snapchat, anywhere you are, maybe even on your chat app, WhatsApp. These products are coming. We see a lot of initiatives from these vendors, but it's still a far way to go.
No, excellent. No, those are great. In fact, in India, we work with the Google product team, and you would see that when you search within Google, less and less you're seeing those blue links out there. You're seeing a lot more flowy visual aesthetic of products as well as services. In fact, talking about anywhere commerce, the ideas are such that even when you're on a search tool, whatever information is out there on a website is actually available within the search discovery platform itself, including things like time to ship, estimated delivery date. You don't even need to go to the website to be able to understand it. You can actually see that within the search discovery itself. So the ease of the consumer has moved to that level, or what we wanted to do for the consumer.
Where the people are not even then clicking and they're looking at everything on Google.
Not necessarily, yeah. So interesting. Yeah, your thoughts on Omnichannel, obviously an offline heavy market. Retail is extremely experiential here, very opulent, great brands. You go to the malls for movies, outdoor. from a consumer accessing products or services across channels, how are businesses or how are you advising them to manage their customer across devices?
Sure. I think that, all retailers need to be omni-channel. If you're not doing omni right now, I think really you're missing the game, right? And I was in Zanzibar in Tanzania last year, and we were looking at taking a jet ski, and the one-man show was taking bookings by WhatsApp, right? And putting WhatsApp for business there, right? And yet, I think UAE, I think is quite digitally evolved. I mean, Aster, I've used your. I think last time we did a medical checkup there, went through the digital flow, and everybody's trying various things, and also quite impressed with what healthcare is doing. However, I think it's a bit, how we're thinking about it is a bit siloed, right? Saying, okay, we'll use Omni for leads. Okay, we'll use Omni to remind people of appointments, but not necessarily thinking of it completely, right? So I think that what we realized, and when I was at Lenskart, or what I've seen some of the best Omni companies do in retail as well, is really, if bare bones marketing funnel, if you look at the awareness, interest, trial, retention funnel, is what part does Omni play in every part of it? And actually, it's also giving the consumer the opportunity at various parts of the funnel to do various things. And I'll give you an example, right? So the awareness piece, I think digital has proven, and using YouTube, using Facebook, using whatever channel, that real awareness, digital is perhaps the cheapest mechanism. It can be reinforced with credibility mediums like print and outdoor media, but really digital in terms of reach is the cheapest channel, right? So starting from there, then finding ways to engage, either by lead capture or WhatsApp or even phone calls, right? And then basis what you do, the trial phase can happen online, or the trial phase can also happen offline, right? Where you move people from the online space and you bring them actually to the store, right? And sometimes, or say that, hey, you stay at home, we'll send your guy home. And I think the mistake sometimes we make is forcing the consumer to do things that we want him to do, but actually the consumer is very smart. He has many options, right? If it's not, I'm sorry, but if it's not Aster, he'll go to 6 others, right? Some of them all have similar names also, right? Sometimes I'm using one, actually I'm using the other. There's so many players, right? So giving him the option, saying, hey, what do you want? And that's where your conversion increases. And I think everybody's doing service at home these days, right? I mean, from watches to whatever you want, right? And then finally, determining the conversion, and then figuring out the retention. And guess what? You can know that, hey, a certain person followed this journey last time, and last time he got serviced at home, or last time he came to the store, and maybe that's what he'll want next time. Well, actually not true, because on a Sunday, he might want something else. Right? And I think giving that consumer the choice at every stage of the funnel, through these funnels, is omni-channel. Right? And not saying, okay, we are multi-channel. No, that's not omni-channel. Right? And omni-channel today is retail, it's online, it's at home, it's WhatsApp. Today you have services like Haptic or Galabox or whatever, where you can actually just purchase on WhatsApp. It's super interfaces, right? And maybe it might be the metaverse as well soon. Yeah, so I think that's where the journey we should all go. And I think you guys also doing great job at enabling that. The GreenHonchos.
We're trying. So I think you also brought up a good point of saying, no matter how much, if we try to force fit the journeys we feel for personalization, they don't necessarily work.
Because there's no personalization actually. Because Navin on a Tuesday is a different Navin on a Saturday.
Correct.
Right? So then you're getting into day-wise personalization, and there is some overlap, but a large part is the choice of the consumer.
Sure. But yeah, I'll come back on my previous question to you. I want everyone to come in on the personalization piece. I have a separate question there, so don't steal my thunder on that one. We have the next 10 minutes for that. But I mean, to our previous question on Omnichannel, what has life been thinking? What's the thought internally in terms of the Omnichannel journeys, trying to empower the consumer through multiple, either devices or touch points, or engaging with the consumer?
So when it comes to a purchase decision, so people do a lot of researches. So people do a lot of research before making a purchase decision. That is always there. So now people have a lot of options available. They do research online, they read articles. Then they can go to a store and talk to the pharmacist or talk to the healthcare advisors, and then they can make a decision. So it happens both ways. Like sometimes people go to the pharmacies or people go to the store, then ask advisors, and then they'll come back and later buy online. Or people do research and they understand everything, then go to the pharmacies and take advices from the people, and they make the purchase decision right there. So it is always interconnected and interlinked. So as a brand, what we have to do is, so we need to keep information available for the consumers can access it, both online and offline at the same level.
Sure.
So in digitally, how we can do is like we need to do. You need to understand your customers, what they are looking for, what is their problems, and it changes season to season. It changes month to month. So people requirements changes. Like he was mentioning, on Monday you are different, on Saturday you are different.
Sure.
So on winter your requirement is different, and for summer your requirement is different. So you need to always analyze your data, identify what customer is looking, use Google Analytics or your previous search histories or previous seasons, products, what people buy more. And then you have to create a user experience in your application or retail also, similar to those products people are looking for. And you have to connect using content or designs and likewise. So you have to maintain it both everywhere. So as a brand, we always try to keep it similar in terms of promotions and in terms of pricing, in terms of people want same experience everywhere. That is all. It's all about omnichannel.
That's right. I think convenience and the consumer is what nets up to a repeat customer purchase and higher lifetime.
And it has a lot of challenges as well. Sometimes in terms of promotions. So in life, people see some offer online and go to the store and they'll ask the same offer. Then we have to say, no, it is not available in store, it is only online. Then for the staff, it requires a lot of training, or they have to convince the consumers. So that is a challenge which we face actually.
So I'll take that lead and come back to you, Adam, because you'll represent the same space in terms of a category. Challenges. He brought up that part. I think it's a good time to take a detour on that. It's all good to academically know what's the right thing to do for the consumer, but I'd love to hear about some of the challenges while implementing these that seem academically more correct, but in the real world, cross-channel, as well as unifying experiences, what kind of challenges have you faced? I'm sure it'll add value to everyone here.
Yeah, so I think from a challenge perspective, and I think going back to what Sudhir was talking about is you can't predict a customer journey. You can't predict what medium he wants to transmit on and what medium he wants to interact with you. And I think, again, back to Sudhir's point, it's very short-sighted to say that I will only offer my services in store. I will only offer my services on web. I will only offer my services independently without the need of aggregators, without the need of pure e-commerce players like an Amazon or a Noon. You've got to give that customer the ability to transact wherever it is. And I think that's where the challenges come in, because it's no longer, at least from an IT perspective, it's no longer you've got a single point of entry, right? It's not like I have just one point of sale and one website. Now I have to look at how do I interact with a customer over WhatsApp. Because the way I interact with a customer over WhatsApp is different to the way I interact with a customer over my online portion. The way I interact with the customer over Talabat or over Noon or over the web and Amazon has to be completely different. So from a challenge perspective, that's definitely there. One of the challenges that we faced recently, and we've implemented this at Medcare, who for many people who don't know, Medcare and Aster are linked together. We developed the app. We developed all these cool features that the guys wanted to see, with lab reports and the ability to do, online pharmacies and prescriptions and RX uploads. You register, you scan all your information, you take your pictures, and you book it. You can see all the doctors you want to. You can book all your appointments. But when we realized that some consumers want that, some consumers want that ability to choose their doctor, they want that ability to see different appointment bookings. But some customers just want to be seen by a doctor. Some customers just want the ability to, get on a call and speak to a customer. So if you download our Medcare app, What we've done is we've kept it so simple. Type in your name, your email address, and your telephone number, and you press a button. And that's the only interaction you have with your phone. You're immediately connected to a call center agent. That call center agent speaks to you, takes down your information, finds which doctor is available immediately for you, transfers the call to the doctor immediately. You have your interaction with the doctor. Once the interaction is complete, you're going back to the call center. They've sent you the payment link to your WhatsApp or your email. They've sent you your prescription to your email, or have given you the option to arrange a home delivery for you if you would like the home delivery service. And all of that has been done with barely touching your phone. Right? So I think, and again, like Sudhir was saying, giving the customers the ability to transact in the way they want, on the day they want, and however they want, I think is paramount. Obviously, it brings up all the challenges of having to interact and implement with multiple systems. But I think if you don't do this, you're just isolating a portion of the population which you otherwise would have interacted with. And like you said, they can go anywhere, right? Healthcare, fragrances, fashion, pharmacy, there's so many players in the market. Unless you're everywhere and unless you're accessible on every platform, people have the option to go elsewhere.
Sure, sure. I mean, in the same segment, anything more on challenges you'd like to add while implementing?
You want to share some ideas for him?
So implementing omni-channel, there are a lot of challenges in terms of integrating with systems. So because online it works in a different system. So connecting to the stocks, it's always a challenge, you know.
Yeah.
So and
even syncing data, I think.
Syncing data and promotions, prices, staff knowledge, all these things. It is always challenges implementing, and
sure.
And customer experience goes bad if something goes wrong. So that we have to be very careful on that. So.
Sure.
Like I previously mentioned, why the price is different in your online and offline. It can create a lot of unhappy customers.
Sure, sure. Fair enough. I'll move to my next question to you, Darine. In terms of the online space itself, we've seen from a personalization standpoint for improving the stickiness and probably conversions, the ad platforms have done fairly well, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, or Google on the other side, where the feed on even organic or paid results or what you see on your feeds is unique for each user, basis his own browsing history, pattern, cookies, purchase, retargeting, what have you, from a digital standpoint. Do you feel that websites are a little more limited from that perspective in terms of not being able to curate the UX basis his own, either purchase history or pattern or behavioral points? Are e-commerce sites more flat from that perspective, and thereby probably there's a big opportunity to improve conversions if we can make it a lot more unique in the journeys? Have any thoughts on that?
Very good question, actually. Definitely, there is much more room for personalization and personalization tech in our space. But there is a limit to how much you personalize, where you alienate your customer.
Sure.
Sometimes the customers want to really understand your storefront, what you're merchandising for,
Sure.
the occasion, and go by your logic. I've seen a lot of storefronts that over-personalize and you feel very lost, especially when they don't have enough data points around you. We definitely always have personalization and AI in the top of our mind, especially in our CRM activities and advertising, as you've mentioned. It's an ambitious, yes, to serve the customer exactly what he wants, but let's not forget that sometimes they don't really know what they want.
Sure.
They want to be handheld, led through the journey, understand your universe more or less and what you are there to offer them.
Yeah, I think akin to the offline, I think there's a lot of visual merchandising in stores where the brand wants to make his presentation in a particular manner. I think that's where you come and say that in the online as well, we want to also curate how the consumer needs to look at our offering. Also, I think the two other words here are headless and I think MarTech. I think headless applications we spoke about briefly before this does help in that area, where there are defined journeys within your CMS platforms, whether they're the Shopifys or the Magentos, but you'd see a lot of folks are now implementing either PIMs or carts or checkouts that have the ability for you to be able to override while you're still on that same system. So that has really helped businesses do a lot more with the understanding of their own customer. And the other part is, where when you talked about AI, then there's also your entire MarTech capabilities where you can actually define a lot more journeys basis where the user is going on the website and activate those journeys, registered, visited, didn't purchase, 30, 60, 90 days, push, nudges, notifications. I think those are available for us to be able to design those journeys once the consumer reaches the site better. So I guess those are also opportunities. Sudhir, on the personalization side again, because your experiences in the past few years, especially with ticketing as well as with Lenskart, etc., are extremely immersive and personalized journeys. And we talked about either overcomplicating it and the risk of between simplifying and complicating. But personalization still would be one of those key.
No, absolutely. I think we've found that that when it comes to broad interests and broad categories, that they don't change, right? When it comes to a person, when it comes to convenience, what is convenient, that changes, because sometimes being at home is convenient, sometimes going to the mall is convenient. But what you like doesn't change. And I'll give you an example from the Book My Show journey. And Book My Show, when you profile a person, a consumer, right? You go deep into the concerts he's gone for, the movies he's gone for, and you profile a person, whether this person likes comedy, likes drama, likes Hindi, likes Tamil. This is the kind of cinema, to the extent where this person likes the back seat and he likes a popcorn, right? We could profile Adam also to say what he likes, right? And, then what happens is when he comes onto the app, you can initiate a one-click purchase to say, hey, this is the movie you've chosen. We know you like the cinema. We know you like this kind of seat. You just choose the cinema, choose the movie and the time, and we do everything else. Sure. And then say, click out. And that works really well, sure. Right? And I think the way even news platforms have done that has been really good, right? And I think, I have, if I'm a cricket fan and I have another friend who's a football fan, the way your news feed, even on a Times of India or on a
even your
Times,
OTT is configured that.
Yeah. So and I think that habits is very important. We should all do that. Now, when it comes to fashion, it also plays a role, and we use Incref at Lenskart, or we use other tools. It certainly plays a role, but the challenge with fashion is that trends in fashion are changing, and sometimes the trends are so powerful that people's interest in fashion also change.
Sure.
Right? And that it's hard for AI to keep a track of.
Sure.
Right? So I would say that in certain cases, yes. In certain cases, perhaps not. Right? Because if you look at glasses, the way the glasses journey, right? These transparents, what I'm wearing, they came in only a year ago, but they've sort of become more popular now. How is AI going to be able to predict these things?
Got it.
Right? So I think it's a mix of both, and I think personalization enablers have done really well in the ecosystem. But I think the personalization enablers are feeding off data, real-time data, but they need to feed off what demand is going to be.
Fair enough.
Right? And how does one? I'm sure there are ways to figure it out. Right? You can look at what people are searching for on Google or on Facebook, and then if the two can come together, then it's more powerful.
Sure. That's great. I think we've got about 5-6 minutes left. We are open for questions. You were suggesting probably we are happy to answer any questions panelists have to answer.
Hi, thank you. That was really informative. Aster huge brick and mortar presence with online. I totally get that. So my question actually is for you, Darine. First of all, congratulations on what you've achieved so far. Now, for players like you who only exist in online and do not have a brick and mortar presence, businesses which thrive either through an app or on the web, I mean, I'm talking about global giants, they burn insane amounts of money in terms of customer acquisition costs, whether it's, I don't know, through, paid postings, whatever it is. But if you look at the metrics and the unit economics of it, you're looking at, bizarre numbers, in terms of customer acquisition costs across the GCC. Now, given the fact that you survive in the online space with Golden Cent, how difficult has it been for you, to scale, from the first day, it went live, to scale your operations? And was it commensurate, with your spends, or initially was your burn really high and then it sort of tapered down? What was the journey like for you?
Obviously, in e-commerce, it's in the beginning, let's say, growth at all costs, right? And the unit economics don't make sense, but we're now a 9-year-old business, and for us, long-term sustainability is very important. So we take great care in optimizing the unit economics and ensuring every part of the process is efficient and also warrants a happy future, let's say, for the business. It's not easy at all, and it's not easy to do it in every vertical. For example, yesterday we had some speakers from the grocery business. It's a very cutthroat business, and profitability is not somewhere to be seen there. But in certain verticals, and we're lucky to be in one, it's much, I would not say it's easy, but it's much easier than for these kinds of verticals.
Anyone else or any questions? Yeah? Someone? We're good. Any last thoughts from the panel? Otherwise, if no questions, otherwise we can get off the stage.
I had a question for you, Navin.
Sure.
No, you're looking at so many D2C brands coming in. How are you seeing mobile as a percentage of online in terms of sales?
Right.
Because you're powering so many of them. So where from your space,
yeah.
And also how do you see that being mimicked in the Middle East, or the D2C Middle East?
Sure. Thanks. I wasn't prepared for a question. I was the one asking them. But see, in India, I think we all know we've been there for 10 years plus, working with almost all the leading conglomerates, especially fashion lifestyle. 90%, 92% of all e-commerce transactions are through a handheld.
Okay.
But there are completely different dynamics there. It's not more convenience, it's more accessibility. The laptop or the desktop or hardwires, LANs, connectivity, is the mobile revolution completely surpassed all of that there, that entire piece, and then that's what happens in India, and then the numbers are so large. In fact, brands with great offline recall had really poor UX and websites, but because there was that value proposition in the product, their conversions in the online were really high. In fact, there are fairly large brands that have over 50 to 60% of even organic business, not even paid, just because of the offline reach and recall. So I think a lot of digital-first startups started in about 2015 to 20, but this second emergence where you have a lot more mature brands that are, multi-crore INR, you'd understand those numbers, in India from the offline, they just have repurposed their catalog out there. And on mobile.
Got it.
And in fact, WhatsApp commerce is really doing well. I think the post-order journey, there are a lot of enablers in India. The enablement ecosystem has really picked up in the last few years. A lot of enablers here out there have made their initial proof of concepts in India. And I think there will be some change, but I do believe the overall consumer mindset in terms of the user journey, in terms of the mobile, in terms of the purchase pattern, personalization, will remain pretty similar. There are a lot of good use case experiences from India because we've handled large volume, and with that comes a diverse set of consumer and purchase journeys. So I'm sure they'll remain fairly similar here. and in the next 2-3 years, we will see similar growth rates. I hear of a lot of businesses being 90 to 95% offline, but the consumer is moving for convenience. We do believe that even here in the GCC market, it will move to an average of about 15% from an online purchasing standpoint. Hope I answered your question.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else, or thank you for your time.